comic fans out there, Troy the Max Extreme here.
And Ghost Hunter Dave.
And we, together, form IMPERIUS REX.
That's right. Today we are talking about Shazam.
That's right.
The newest cinematic opus from DC.
Yes.
Troy, you just came in hot off it.
That's right. Just saw it with these old peepers. So not only are we going over the movie, but a few other sprinklings of comic goodness featuring Shazam as the title character.
That's right.
We were also gifted this show. We are now going to be fueled by the 6-year Haven Hill Old Style Bourbon, available only in Kentucky, from a one O.J. Stapleton. He is not only a friend of the show, but becoming a friend in life.
That's right. So thank you, OJ.
Yeah.
This one's for you.
Crack it open.
Unless you didn't care for Shazam, then it's not.
So we're going to enjoy this, talk a little bit of Shazam, and get to it.
Get a bit Shazammed ourselves, am I right?
Shazam! Enjoy.
So Troy, as a person who recently just watched Shazam,
Yes?
what were your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts, it was very fun.
It was.
Yes.
Who would have thought?
I know.
A DC movie. Fun?
I guess, course correction that they're taking, which I hate saying that as a thing.
Yeah.
I really think that the fun vibe in this, though, really suits the character personally.
Absolutely.
And I had a lot of good times during this movie. I laughed.
Yep.
I possibly almost shed a tear.
By yourself in the theater.
I saw it by myself.
A middle-aged gentleman by himself.
I'm still young.
In a kids movie. In a 2:15 showing.
That's right.
Just laughing and crying his eyes out.
That's right. You can drink there.
Yeah.
So I was a little emotionally impaired.
Primo location.
Yeah.
And those reclining seats?
Mm.
Oh, God.
Ugh.
Could do a whole episode on those.
Could we ever? That's probably all it's going to get cut.
No, I'm gonna keep that.
Okay, great. Your thoughts, Dave?
I feel very much the same as you do. I thought it was strange that DC is really hitting it out of the park with, like, C-list characters that no one really cared about and no one expected anything good to come up from them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Wonder Woman, obviously, A-lister.
Yep.
And that was a big surprise when it blew the doors off the cinema.
Yep.
But then Aquaman, out of nowhere,
Killing.
1-2 punch with this.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
I know.
They're on a good track right now.
I know. They're on a little bit of a tear. I kind of like it.
Yeah. So Shazam, you've always been a fan. You had this shirt years in advance.
That's right.
You didn't buy it for this episode.
Not this one.
Nope. What about Shazam resonates with you?
I like him because he's fun. He's got a very carefree type of attitude. I like the aspect that he is a child at heart, and he's thrown into these now superheroic situations. It's a fun dichotomy, a little play there.
Would you say it brings a sense of golden age wonder?
I would say those exact words.
That's what I was thinking of while you were collecting your thoughts.
But yeah, I like all that kind of stuff.
The original iteration of Shazam, the Captain Marvel days, was when he was in his Shazam form, did he still have the mind of the child?
I think that...
Or is that a new development?
That's a semi-new development, and it was only after the movie Big that all the comic writers now blame that movie for now him being like kind of like a childlike mind in a grown-up's body.
Really? So it was like the 80s when this happened?
Yeah.
It wasn't Geoff Johns' New 52 thing that changed that?
No.
Okay.
But before... Well, it could have been... If they were writing it semi-close to now, they could have been hearkening back to older stories. But before, they were two separate characters where It was kind of
I
almost
thought
a
it was
Miracle Man.
Yeah, where they swapped bodies.
And the one was like kind of in a void.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that must have been hell.
And I also liked that back then it was the Marvel family, and it had just like this colorful cast of characters. And
Yep. Yeah, you had Mary. What was it?
yeah, Mary Marvel. Yep. Captain Marvel Jr.
Yeah. So what do they call the new group if they can't call them Marvel?
I think it's just the Shazam family. It's not
The Shazamly?
yeah. Well,
The Shazam
from now on, they're gonna be called that for sure.
The Fazamly?
No.
I like them all.
So this movie borrows very heavily from Geoff Johns' relaunch from the New 52.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think in there either they really have their own monikers either.
No, because there's a lot of them.
Yeah, and I don't even know if you can even call Mary Marvel anymore if you're not going to call Shazam Captain Marvel.
Just Mary.
Yeah.
What a superhero name.
Hey, Mary, Fred, Eugene.
Pedro, Darla.
Well, there
All
you go.
your favorites. So that's a little background, I guess, on the character. Brings us up to speed. And we won't even get into, like, he was Captain Marvel, then there's lawsuits and all that.
There's plenty of videos out on the internet like that.
Yeah, we're just going to assume you already know or don't care.
Right.
And we'll get back to the movie. So as you mentioned earlier, this movie borrows very heavily from Geoff Johns and Gary Frank's relaunch of the character for the New 52 run.
Yes.
Like 10 years ago now? How long has it been?
It's
been a
quite
while.
a while.
So this is just like a 6-issue-ish arc that was originally told as backup stories in the Justice League relaunch.
Yeah.
And it is phenomenal. It's
Yeah,
one of the best Captain Marvel Shazam comics out there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the relaunch. The only thing I was kind of down on it at first was it was a bit more dour than I first thought it was going to be.
Yeah, well, it was New 52, man.
Yeah.
What
was I thinking?
It was a gritty era.
I really enjoyed that all the Marvel family stuff and all the Captain Marvel lore that was once there is incorporated in this, but in a different way.
Yeah, it felt like a very ultimization of the DC universe, which I guess was kind of what the New 52 was, but I think this worked better than most did.
Yeah.
Kind of a clean updating.
Yeah.
Where they didn't say, like, well, some of this stuff is coming from old continuity. They're just like, nope, hard line.
Yep.
And we're just going to pick what we want from it.
For sure.
And I thought they incorporated it all really, really well. And they bring that with to the movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So it is almost a straightforward adaptation with a couple minor changes, and the biggest being that instead of Black Adam as the primary villain, who we're going to get his own movie someday, I guess, if The Rock is still alive and they finally make it, he's been swapped out with Mark Strong's character, Dr. Savannah.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was a pretty good swap.
Yeah.
I liked him as a villain quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought he was really good too. There's a few reviews that I saw that said that he was a little bit flat, but I'm like, no, I thought he served his purpose really well. I thought it was pretty good. The only argument that I have is kind of like, well, he's kind of like a Zod character. He's got the same powers fighting against Shazam.
Yeah.
But I'm like, whatever.
They're all kind of that.
I know, and that's why I'm like, whatever. They're all that.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yep. When he tears it up in the boardroom,
Yeah.
holy moly, that caught me off guard how abruptly violent it got. Because for the most part, this is a very fun, like, kid-friendly movie. And then there's this one scene that it catches you completely off guard and just grabs a dude, whips him out a window.
Yeah.
A giant 7 Deadly Sins monster bites some dude's head off.
Yeah. Yeah, and then like all the bodies just pressed up against the frosted glass.
Yeah.
Quite horrifying.
Yes,
Yeah,
that scene seemed very out of place in this movie, but it was one of my favorites.
It did like really garner some stakes in there though. Like he's playing for keeps.
He's a bad dude.
Yes, he is.
He's a bad dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, another role for Mark Strong. And who's plays the wizard?
Oh, Dijon Hot Soup.
Yeah, just keeping his place as the actor who's literally in every other superhero movie.
Yes.
My lord, has he survived any yet?
That's a good question. I don't think so.
No. But everyone was really well cast. The kid playing Billy Batson.
Yep.
Really good.
I thought he was
They made him a little bit more likable than his comic iteration.
Yes. Yeah.
And his friend Freddy, who I had known from the It movies,
Oh, yeah.
is hilarious in this, and he was fantastic.
He was a little grating on me at first, but once I fell into it, and once he showed like a little bit of heart, I was like, okay, now I've gotten into your character a little bit. Yeah.
Yep. The whole family aspect was good.
Yeah.
It was heartwarming.
Yes.
I would say its weakest moments were the action.
And even then, personally for me, I thought it was done fairly well. There's a few points where the CG gets a little like a rubbery.
I thought about any time he flew.
Yeah.
It didn't look the best.
No, he
looked
just
like
seemed
they
like
could take another pass. Yeah.
But
so I took a Stretch Armstrong as the mocap.
Yeah. But I mean, other than
Zach, can you hold up that Stretch Armstrong?
Other than that, I thought it was pretty good. I granted, like, there wasn't a whole lot of really action in it until like the very end.
And then by the time the end happened, I felt like maybe it was kind of losing steam. Like, it's a 2-hour, 15-minute movie.
Yeah.
We were just talking, like, the movie runtimes lately are just nuts.
Sometimes insufferable.
They don't need to be this long. And this is one where I feel like you could cut 15 minutes off and it would be a solid, tight, fun movie. But as it is, there was a couple moments, like in the third act, where I'm like, all right, come on. Like, you're running over here, and now you're over here, and then you're over there. Like, can we just fight?
So near the third act, when I was kind of waiting for stuff to happen, like all the sins are kind of out and rampaging apart. And like, I wasn't quite sure if they were going to go for the whole Shazam family aspect in the movie. I didn't know if they're going to make that jump.
The Shazamly?
The Shazamly. But I was surprised when they did.
Yeah.
It was kind of spoiled for me a little bit in like the toys, because I was just at...
Yeah, I knew that is exactly what spoiled it for me. I was at Target and I saw the toys of all of them. So I knew that going in, but I'm trying to think if I knew it before I saw the toys. I don't think I did.
Granted, like, they do that in the New 52 run, but I'm like, I thought they were just going to take like kind of creative license and just not do that. It's
the logical place for the story to go to tell like a good, complete story. They could have not done it, but I think it, as a plot, it works better to kind of go full circle and goes back to the family motif.
I really enjoyed it.
I thought like it was almost heart-wrenching, especially both of us being parents.
Yeah.
To see the flashback of young Billy being left behind at the amusement park by his mom.
Yeah.
Who he idolizes, and he spent his entire life looking for and putting like her up on a pedestal. And then you finally find out that she was like this 17-year-old woman who didn't want to be a mom. And she allowed him to be lost. Like, he got free from her, but then once the cops found him, she just kind of like Homer Simpson into the shrubs and assumed like he's going to have a better life without me.
Yeah.
And then when he comes face to face with her in the third act and she's just a dirtbag.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man,
that really
kicked you while you were down.
It really did. Because I couldn't even imagine ever doing that to a kid. Regardless if you're 17 or not. Yeah. But I'm just like, my God. Yeah. But that was like the emotional parts that I was talking about in the movie I really liked. I liked the foster family a lot. I really liked that they did do that to show, like, not everyone's great.
Yeah, and it's a really good message for, you know, like, foster kids. Yeah. And adopted kids.
For
like,
sure.
Sometimes, you know, what you think you want is not the best option for you.
And that's another reason why I like the character as well that I forgot to mention up top is, like, this is, like, one of the only characters I can think that comes from a family like that. Yeah. Like, granted, Peter Parker...
family.
Yeah.
They're all adopted.
Well, I get that, but it's like... They're not growing up in foster care and kind of have to take... They're not in a rich mansion or anything like that.
And they're the ones with the better disposition.
Yeah, right.
These kids have nothing.
Right, I know.
Except each other.
I know.
So last thing to maybe touch on about the movie before we move on to the books. Zachary Levi. Charming as hell.
Yeah, he is.
He was great in this.
I know.
All the moments where, you know, they're jumping back and forth, I was afraid there might be kind of a disconnect, but he seemed exactly like the character.
Yeah.
they did a great job. Like, I'm assuming they hung out and
Yeah.
really kind of got each other's mannerisms and personality down.
Uh-huh.
Because the way he acted felt very much like
Very
a
much
14-year-old kid.
Very much so. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and there's moments where you're like, oh, that's a pretty dumb move, but then you think, like, he's 14. Like, I'm giving myself way too much credit at that age. I was a complete idiot then. That's
Yeah.
exactly what I'd be doing.
Yep, for sure.
As they go on their little escapades and adventures,
Yeah.
testing out the powers, like, that was a lot of fun.
There wasn't, like, a one aspect of this that I really didn't care for at all. Like,
No.
at the worst, for me, it was like, yeah, it was a good superhero flick.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's about as low as I would go.
So, movies like these don't just materialize out of thin air.
Right.
They don't just come into existence when someone grabs a pole and yells Shazam. So, Troy, what have we read recently that would lead into this movie?
Well, Dave,
Yes?
not only did we go back and reread the New 52 Origin of Shazam,
That's right.
we also dabbled in the series that is coming out currently.
Mm-hmm. Which
And-
Geoff Johns is also penning.
That's
It's kind of
right.
a continuation of his Shazam run.
A bit. And also Jeff Smith's 2007 Shazam
Oh!
and the Monster Society of Evil.
Ooh, what a title.
Yes.
But that's not all.
No, it is not.
Because there's also a one-shot that
Mhm.
perfectly encapsulates that golden age fun
Yes.
of Shazam. And I'm talking about Grant Morrison's Multiversity anthology piece.
Yes.
The Thunderworld Adventures.
Yes.
There it is.
Yes.
So where do we start?
Well, why don't we start with that since you have it right in your hand?
Okay. So when we read Multiversity, I think this was a favorite of both of ours.
Yes.
Maybe not top. I was a Pax Americana man myself, but I think you enjoyed this one more.
This one edged out Pax Americana for me.
Well, you're wrong.
Well, opinions are like assholes, Dave, and you're one of them.
Oh. So we got Grant Morrison, favorite of the show, friend of the show.
Yep.
And Cameron Stewart on art duties.
Yep.
And Nathan Fairbairn on colors. Man, Cameron Stewart draws a fantastic Shazam.
Yes, he does.
The whole family. I
Yes.
love his artwork. I wish he was on more books.
I know. We could probably find more that he does, but...
Are they Shazam related?
Probably not.
But this is just like a quick one-off that just tells this fun little like golden age story
Yes.
of Dr. Savannah extracting all this like time-dimensional
Yeah.
material to create a 8th day of the week.
Yes, called
Savannah
Savannah
Day.
Day. Yeah.
The day that Captain Marvel is beaten.
Yes.
And it's a fun little fast-paced adventure
Yep.
with all the characters. It's got Tawny Tiger. It's got everybody. Not only hit that, but he has a jetpack and a blaster.
It's the best Tawny
The
Tiger.
best version possible.
Yes. It's got bright colors. Everyone's like having a good time being a superhero. It's got the whole Marvel family in it.
Yeah.
I mean, we already said Tawny Tiger's got a jetpack.
Yeah.
My
What more do you
God.
need?
It's great. And then just the plot alone, just Savannah, this whole plot to make an extra day of the week.
Yeah.
It's like just so ridiculous and stupid that I'm like, how can you not like this?
And I love that it falls apart because he's teamed up with all the extra dimensional versions of himself.
Right.
And they've all cheated each other to keep more of the time on their own end.
Yeah.
So then like the day of the week just like goes like that.
Right.
Then it's over.
Then he's defeated.
Yep. So good.
Yep.
All right.
Perfect.
So where do we go next?
Well, why don't we jump into
Monster Society
Monster
of Evil?
Society of Evil?
All right.
Yes.
Thoughts on this?
I don't know. Maybe I couldn't fall into it
Same.
as easy as I thought I was going to.
I feel like Thunderworld is a better telling of that type of story.
Yes.
In terms of like brevity and fun
Yes.
and everything.
And this wasn't as brevet
No.
as I
This was
originally.
4 50-page issues.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And this is from Jeff Smith of Bone fame.
Yeah.
Who's an acclaimed cartoonist.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I wasn't feeling it. I read the first 2 issues and kind of dropped off. And
Yeah.
I like skimmed around, but I wasn't in love with it.
I like the premise of it. I think it was also maybe I wasn't in love with the character design either.
Mhm.
Like Billy Batson looked like a toddler.
Yeah, he looks like he's 4 years old.
At most. But it was fun. I mean, like this otherworldly machine making people into monsters, and Savannah wants the stuff to make millions of dollars off making more people monsters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It was fun, but like I just never really fell into it.
No, same. I did enjoy the card playing crocodiles.
Yes.
In the movie
that
were
was
a call
cool
out
from
from
Geoff
this.
Smith. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, that was good.
That was great. And I think they make an appearance in Thunderworld too. So those gator people must be like mainstays.
A staple. It's a
time.
little long-winded for what I
Yeah.
think it needs to be. If it was like 2 issues of this size, I think it'd be great and tight, and I would love it. So that's 2 issues being 100 pages for it.
Yeah.
I think it's like 200 something pages.
Right. And it was kind of a complete retelling of his origin too. So maybe as we're like binging Shazam right now, I didn't really want another like origin story of it.
Yeah. And
I do love that the wizard just gets flattened by a concrete block.
Yeah.
I don't know why. But it's just dangling from a string that just pancakes him.
Yeah. Leaving his little dainty wizard feet.
Why would you be sitting under there?
I don't know. And then we're gonna jump into the new 52 version of Shazam.
Yeah.
How's about that?
A personal favorite of mine.
Yeah.
In terms of like Shazam.
Yeah.
Which I have very little favorites. But I like this. And I think a lot of Shazam purists are probably not big on this one. But
Probably not.
I'm not a big Shazam purist, and I thought this was a good, like, entry-level take on the character.
Yeah. Like I said before, I thought it came over as like a little dark, but you said, well, new 52. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, you're right. But
You seen what Superman's doing over there? He's snorting lines off Lois Lane's ass, man.
And Billy Batson is a bit of a prick in this too, which I was like, I feel like you're kind of losing sight. But once it starts really getting into it, I'm like, okay, I really like this. Actually, really like the tawny tiger in this a lot.
Yeah, he's just like one of the things that he remembers from his childhood, the tiger at the zoo.
Yep.
That he remembers going to the zoo with his family.
Right.
And at one point, he kind of like enchants him to be like a giant beast.
Yes. And then they introduce Black Adam and a little bit of Savannah in that too.
Yeah.
Like,
I really, really like their take on both those villains.
Me too.
In this.
Me too.
I love Black Adam. I forgot how much I liked Black Adam in this, where he's a slave back in like Pharaoh times. He overthrew the rulers and then was defeated and imprisoned, and he's come back and he wants to overthrow the rulers of this civilization.
Right.
So he sees himself as a good guy, but he was just flat out like murdering
not.
anybody who is like a ruling class.
Right. And I like in Savannah in this too, like how he kind of accidentally discovers magic.
Yeah.
And then can see it.
His power is that he can see it, but whenever he does, it like weakens him because his body can't, he's not enhanced, so his body can't handle it, and he's like getting crippled and getting like thin and gaunt and just wrecked every time he uses it.
He like starts as Mark Strong, but then turns into eventually the Savannah from the classic Golden Age stories where he's like this goblin-esque like evil scientist.
Yeah, and this does tell a pretty complete story because it does give us a pretty hard stop on Black Adam.
Yeah.
Here.
Yeah.
Which I had to look up, like, does Black Adam ever appear again in New 52? I think he only appears one more time.
Okay.
So this was a pretty, like, short encapsulation of Black Adam, but I thought it worked. Yep. I'm sure we're going to get a lot more with The Rock behind it, but I like that this character had this role in it, and I was good with what we got of him.
Same. And then we should just roll into the Geoff Johns ongoing current Shazam run.
Years between the two, but picking up right after this, which I had no idea this was a continuation until you told me.
Pretty much continuation. They're going into like a fun story where there is other magical lands out there once they visit the Rock of Eternity. I don't want to go too much into it because it's still ongoing and I want people to at least try it, but like about 3 issues in, I'm like, this is kind of weird.
Yes. I am not as big a fan of this as I was his original take on it. It's like the next step of it, but you can definitely tell they did like a course correction and they made it way more like family friendly. Because it's magic, you know, it's DC's magic version and they're not going in like the dark Justice League dark magic.
Right.
Where Swamp Thing fucks your mother and Constantine kicks your kid brother in the head.
Right.
It's more of like a fun Harry Potter magic.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's not quite my thing, but I appreciate that it's out there.
Yeah,
it's just not quite like the path that I would have wanted that story to take.
It's not quite my thing either. And the third issue deals with, like, so there's like a whole magical land where it's like kids' world.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is a whole land? Like, one land is Earth and one land is this? Like,
Yeah.
it just seems weird that ancient
Don't
wizards...
they get enough?
like, ancient wizards would be like, this is fine for a magical
Well, I
world.
mean, we gotta have Kids World.
Yeah. I mean, Disney World's the most magical place on Earth, so I guess I need a facsimile in that in the DC universe.
Here's where you place your order for your food, and then you bring your kids over here and let them play in the tubes. Kids World.
There you go. But other than that, like, I still am having fun with that. I think I like it a little more than you, but I like the more character a little more than you, so I think that's easier for me to fall into.
Yeah, it's not bad, and I do appreciate that they're picking up with that family and everything, because I really like that dynamic and what they've set up there. So they've got the whole Shazamly.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
And where it just left off, issue 4, as of this recording, I was pleasantly surprised what the cliffhanger was, and I read it for this show, and I was like, I'm just going to read up to what they're at, and then I'm going to be done. But that cliffhanger, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see this through.
You got me.
You got me.
Okay, good.
Spoiler, Black Adam's back.
I love it.
Back on board.
And
Black on board. Back in black. That's all I got.
A few other quick hits, because
Yeah.
I am such a Captain Marvel fan, Shazam fan.
Mm-hmm.
The Superman Shazam animated feature that was in the DC shorts that came out, that was really good, I think.
Primo, yeah.
And I've also watched the entire old black and white series of Shazam, and I think it's pretty fun.
It's on the DC streaming app, I believe.
Not the old one, I don't think.
Okay, it's not.
The old black and white one where he, like, says Shazam and, like,
Shazam!
throws just a goon off a roof.
He emphasizes it different every time.
Where you can tell it's like a dummy on a wire flying down a hill. Like, it's pretty great for the 30s or whenever it was made. Also, I checked out the first episode of the Shazam 70s series, which is
that one
awful.
must be on.
Yeah, that is the one. Where a 20-year-old Billy Batson rides in a Winnebago with a man named Mentor and solves mysteries.
What?
It's messed up.
Does he transform
Yeah.
into like a 25-year-old?
He transforms into a man slightly older.
He says Shazam and becomes a 79-year-old geriatric.
You can tell he's older because he's got a shorter haircut.
Shazam! Ah!
But that is no good. Like, if you
And then
want
he
to
just
laugh,
tells you who fell around his block lately.
and like he's got the ability to talk with the gods who are all animated.
Oh.
Like, it's bad.
Sounds like Monty Python.
It's just as funny if you're looking at it from an angle.
Well, that sounds amazing.
Yes.
Should we skip Avengers Endgame and just binge that?
So I think we should.
Live stream.
I think there's only 3 seasons of it, so
Oh.
there you go. But yeah, needlessly said, I'm a big fan of Captain Marvel, Shazam, and I wish more of it for me alone.
I think we're going to get it because I think even if the numbers don't show right away, I think word of mouth is going to help this one out.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's fun. It's a good, fun superhero movie.
Right. It's a good juxtaposition against Endgame, which may not be as fun.
Yes.
Good, but maybe not as a rip-roaring good time.
Right.
Well, that's going to be it. Fans, what do you think of Shazam? Is he a favorite of yours? Or
Was it a roaring good time? Continue.
Or are you more of a Superman guy? Are you a fan of the costume with the flap? The flap right here? I am. I might cut a flap into this shirt. You don't know. The one thing I'm hoping that this movie does is make him popular enough so when I wear this shirt out in public, they're not just like, hey, Flash! And I just go, yep, and then walk away from them. So let us all know in the comments down below what you think. But until next time, I've been Troy to the Max Extreme.
And I've been Ghost Hunter Dave.
And as we shout into the sky, IMPERIUS REX, we turn into our children forms and walk away from this.